Okay. Now I think my microphone is good. Can you say something? Oh, now you're muted on here. Let me see. Let me get this set up really quick. I should probably switch screens really quick while I do that. Voice and video.
Hello, hello, test 1, 2, 3. I don't think there's
Now
any
we're
audio
good.
coming out of you.
Now we're good. Now I've got everything set. Okay. I will
All
go
right.
back to this. Okay, there we go. Now we're good. Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay, we've got everything sorted out. I did not expect my microphone settings to not be working. And just the audio to be completely muted is what it is. First episode shenanigans, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
Rebel Room Podcast, episode 1. I'm Sharpie, joined by Cloud, and we're talking about all things Shopify Rebellion for the LTA in 2025. He's got the jersey. I don't have it yet. I have the t-shirt, though, and I've been wearing it, and it's in the wash, so I completely forgot to get it cleaned for today. But that's okay. Starting off, right off the bat, we have basically a brand new roster. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I do. I will say, as soon as you turned off your camera, I saw your shirt. I was like, wow, that is cool.
Yeah, I
So,
got this tiger shirt. It's pretty neat.
yeah, it's a pretty cool shirt. Yeah, I'm excited for our roster. I think the main thing everyone's gonna point out too, which is something that I was publicly like opposed to, which is the Palafox pickup.
Mhm.
We can get into that. We can talk about what the head coach Revan said. Like, hey, here's the reason why I ended up picking Palafox, despite him not even being on my top three list.
Mhm.
But overall, I think I'm happy with where we're at. Everybody's on a 2-year contract so far, which means hey, we're looking to build something unlike the project that came out, and it's a good time to be a Shopify fan.
Yeah, it is. We've got is our support confirmed yet? I don't recall.
No, not
Okay.
publicly at least, not
Not
not officially. Sorry. Yeah.
yes, so it's just still a sheep leak at the moment, where it's a sheep
Yeah.
rumor and nothing more. But we've got Fudge, we've got contracts, we've got Palafox, like you mentioned in the mid lane, we've got Boy, and then rumors in the air of a Brazilian support coming up as well.
Not just any Brazilian support, literally the core JJ of Brazil.
Yes, yes, very exciting times. Let's jump into it right away. So Fudge has not played for a year. He
A
looked
split.
a split. Was it only a split?
Yeah, he played spring. He stomped on 100
That's
Thieves, and then that
right.
was his last victory.
That's right. He did. So he has not played. He was there for spring, and they brought in Thanatos, which I had thoughts on. But that's for another. That's for last year. This is a new year, new team. Yeah, Fudge. How are we feeling about Fudge? He looked really good. He had some strengths. He had some weaknesses that maybe he's been shoring up in the offseason. We'll have to see how things go. They have that Fear X boot camp going on, but Fudge so far, I think he's stacking up pretty high amongst the top laners that exist. Which, to be fair, in the LTA is quite a stacked lane for the LTA.
Yeah, no, it's exactly like you said. It is quite stacked. The top lane is like tough in North America. Probably that and jungler are like our two best roles. Once you go to
Mhm.
like support, it's not that great, you know. But yeah, I think that Fudge had a bit of a dip in his performance. I will like admit to that. I think he was still a top three, if not top four, like top laner in every split that he was top lane that he's participated in. So I don't expect him to be like some people were putting him like bottom two on their tier list. Like I
Mhm.
really don't expect that to happen. I think he went to Korea. He grinded. He hit like top 12 on the challenge on the for like the month that he was there. Like he's grinding. He's good friends with Revan. I think he's motivated to play, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back looking like 2021, 2022 Fudge, where he was just dominating.
That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to see that for sure. Um, I know, like he's been a player with some very clear strengths and weaknesses, but I hope he continues to build on those strengths and that this time too. And we've seen it with quite a few players in the past as well. We saw it with Dokla, where he looked all right, stepped back, went to some other things, and did the went back down into tier two, then came back and went straight to quarters of worlds, where he looked fantastic there. And there's been a few other players who have stepped away and then came back and looked a lot better. So hopefully Fudge continues that trend.
Yeah, I think the other main examples like Stixay and Licorice. Like
Yes.
Licorice had like a down year, went to FlyQuest, and then when he got transferred to Golden Guardians, looked way better.
Hmm.
Same thing with Stixay. He was coaching for a little bit. He was like in tier 2, and then he came back up to Golden Guardians, and all of a sudden he looks like a top 280 carry.
Hmm.
So it's not unreasonable to think, hey, Fudge took a split off, gonna come back. I mean, Jensen had like a year on Dignitas and then came back, and he was like one of the best mid laners. Sure, in summer he had a bad summer. Don't get me wrong, but in
Hmm.
spring, I mean, he didn't die a single time to Jojo Pune in that
Wow.
series that they played
Hmm.
against C9. He was cooking. So
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that break can be what you need to get over the, being burnt out, and just take a break to yourself and refine your skill, focus on some other things, and focus less on truly being competitive and playing for a team, and focus more on yourself, which is what the taking a split off can really help you to do, to get a lot better individually as a player. And we'll have to see how that pairs out for this upcoming split. How are we feeling about? Let's talk about the what you mentioned before. We've got contracts and we've got Palafox coming over from the late energy team. Contracts I'm very high on, and you and I have both talked about where we have some questions and some uncertainties about bringing Palafox on.
yeah, so I'll start with the easy one, contract. Fan favorite. I mean, people called him underrated, even though he was like, I think he was properly rated. People are like, oh, it's contracts is in jail, NRG jail.
Hmm.
He was definitely the best player on NRG. We picked up obviously Palafox as well, but the thing with contracts is we couldn't keep Boogie, so it kind of makes sense that we got
Yeah.
a new jungler that was like the obvious choice. I'd say he's the best available jungler that we could have gotten in North America at least. In terms
Hmm.
of Palafox, I really hated it for quite some time until Revan sort of explained why he did it. Uh, Basically, we're looking for a playmaking mid laner on this team. Like for this team to function, we need someone like a Faker who might not be the most mechanically insane talent, might not be the greatest at micro, but when it comes to playmaking, he's not afraid. Which is something
Hmm.
we saw on NRG. Like Palafox was not afraid to int,
True. Very
which
true.
I thought
Yes.
was I thought looked really bad. But to Revan, he was like, I respect the fact that when his team is not doing anything, he's willing to die and look like a fool, and people like me to be like, why are you picking up this guy? But because he was like making what he thought were good plays that needed to be made.
Hmm.
I disagree. I thought some of those plays were just like absolutely mechanically completely butchered. Even if the thought was right, he just didn't have the hands or the brains to do anything. But
Hmm.
that's neither here nor there. How are you feeling about the Palafox pickup?
So in my perspective, I want to talk about the easy one first. Contracts, in my opinion, if it weren't for Inspired, I would say he makes not a strong case, but you can bring it up for him being the best Western jungler. I think
Okay.
at the moment, I think he's been really held back by some very difficult rosters to play with, and look at what they did in Worlds. They made it to finals off of two things. It was contracts on Jarvan, who looked like the best jungler at Worlds, and it was Dokla just popping off on Cassante over and over and over again. Um, that's what got them there. But the main part of it was that Contracts found someone. Dokla stepped up to Contracts' level, and that allowed Contracts to play through top lane. We saw it again and again and again, playing around that topside river, and those two just ran through teams. And I think with someone like Fudge, who plays a lot like that, like how Dokla did at Worlds, I think we can see prime Contracts come back where he looks like the best jungler at a Worlds competition that had a lot of very talented junglers. You had Owner there, you had obviously like Inspired, you had a lot of very talented Eastern junglers as well. Like who even was there at that one a couple years ago that they played against? I
In
know,
2023, Inspired wasn't there, but from Europe there was Razork, who
yeah,
seemed like
Razork,
honestly one
yes,
of the
yeah,
better
that's
junglers
yeah,
there.
Razork was what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And
Yike was there as well.
mm-hmm. Which yeah. So I think with the right team around him, that to allow Contracts to play as strong as he can, I think he's can easily be one of the best junglers in the West. And I'm hoping to see a Contracts and Fudge play very similar to the way that Inspired and Whippo play on FlyQuest. I think that both their play styles are somewhat similar. They can play off each other very well. Whippo and Fudge seem to have a similar approach to the game, and even though I guess Whippo is probably a little bit more willing to try some crazy strategies than Fudge may be, I think their playstyles can be very similar. And I think if things go well for them, Contracts can put himself right up there with Inspired for being the best Western jungler for this upcoming year. Now for Palafox, I had this kind of similar critiques. I felt like he had 2 good months with the end of the LCS playoffs and at Worlds, where he looked pretty decent. He had some amazing Talia games at Worlds. But outside of that, I think he's had a lot of chances to prove himself to get better, and he can prove me wrong, and I hope he does. But I'm not sold on it yet. Now we'll have to see, because he used to play with Fudge in the past, and he's played with Contracts before for the past couple of years. So maybe building up more people around him that he's comfortable with, maybe it'll continue to improve. I don't know. And like it could be a product of just the organization he was with. I know we'd heard rumors about some communication issues between supports when they changed between like Huhi and Ignar. That affected the team a lot. So it's hard to know how much that really affected how well the team could play. You can always get situations like my old team Immortals, where they're winning all their scrims and then just falling apart on every single stage game, where it's just they look terrible, game after game after game, and there's just something in the games that are happening that just makes it completely unwinnable. And you just lose all your games and you look terrible, when in reality, maybe some of these players are very good and just don't get the chance to show it on stage because something goes wrong in draft, or something just goes wrong on stage. There's nerves or something, and one player can affect the whole team. So it could be any one of those things, but I guess the word I would say is I'm cautiously optimistic for how Palafox will do. I do think, like you said, with that interview with Revan, I do think he is very well set up to be that person to say, we're behind, let's not roll over and die slowly. We're going to take a fight, we're going to take it now, and this is what we're doing. And if we lose, we lose. If we die, we die. If we don't die, we're going to look great. And we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I think you're a lot more bullish on Contracts. I agree that his peak against G2, like those games that he played against Jarvan, when he talked about it, he was like, I was in the zone. I don't even know what was happening. Like he was in the zone. His best 2 games he's ever played in his life. Mm-hmm. Do I think he's going to replicate that? I hope so. I don't think so. I don't think that's like his median, his average play won't be there. But I think his average play is like, easily top 4 jungle in the LCS. Like it's good enough to win a championship.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's a big thing with this team, is that Fudge is definitely a good enough top laner to win a championship. Mm-hmm. Contracts is definitely good enough to win a championship. B-Boy is definitely good enough to win a championship. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have like 8 championships on our team. We have 3. Seus, our rumored support, has 3. Fudge has 3, if you don't, not even counting Oceania. So that's 6. And then Palafox and Contracts have 2, which is 8. B-Boy has 1 finals, but he doesn't have a championship. But still, like, I think our team can challenge for championship, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's talk about B-Boy. Watching B-Boy, I'm glad he was the player that we kept from last year. He was the 180 carry that I would watch from the outside looking in at all the other teams. Like, you had your Berserkers, you had your Masus kind of popping up, but B-Boy was the one who would quietly. I mean, it was a difficult. It's your first year as an organization. You're figuring things out, and he was the one player where I thought, man, if he had a strong like championship contending roster around him, he would look very, very good. And I think with this team he's got upgrades all around him, and I'm hoping to see those. You had every once in a while, you had those random where they're down 5, 6, 8,000 gold and he gets a pentakill in base. I'm thinking we see those moments, instead of being reactively to a team overextending, where he can now do them proactively with the team around him and start really making plays as a playmaker instead of a Hail Mary ditch effort defending your base where they happen to get the stars aligning. I think he's very mechanically talented. I think he has a good eye for the game, and I think he will definitely bring quite a few wins to this team this year.
I'm just as bullish on this guy. He's the only AD carry to ever win first team All Pro while not even making it to playoffs.
Hmm.
Second overall. The only other person was a jungler back in 2019, Lyra.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the eye test checks out on this guy. He looks so good. I actually made a video when he first joined Shopify, being like, "Yo, what the hell? Why are we picking up this guy?" Because I'm a Pain Gaming fan, and I
Mhm.
watched him play on Pain Gaming, and I was like, "Dude, if we had a better AD carry, we would have won for sure. We would have won the split because he made it to the finals, and it was relatively close.
Mhm.
And like when he was on Misfits way back when, maybe 2019 at this point, I don't even remember. He played in EULCS. He didn't look great. He played in the LPL. He didn't look great. I don't know what happened to this guy. He's on steroids. He's playing so well. I made a public apology. I was like, I'm sorry I ever doubted this guy. He's he's definitely the caliber of carry that can win you a championship. And that's
Mhm.
like a big thing for me going into the split was like, look, if the stars align, do our carries have enough firepower to actually win a championship? And I'd argue, yeah, it's actually
Mhm.
I think you would be objectively wrong to say no, they're not. Just because like I said, we have 8 championships amongst our
Yeah.
players. We can definitely win.
Hmm. Yeah. B-Boy, like you said, I think he can absolutely be that playmaker in those pivotal moments, especially with the team around him. It's a story as old as time where the player struggles or the person struggles for a long time, and there's the one who continues to struggle and struggle and struggle and never improve. But it seems like Bevoy year after year after year has slowly gotten better and solved some of those issues and gotten slowly better and better. And then he finally broke through the glass ceiling on Shopify. And it wasn't in game one; it was a couple games in. I think it was maybe even halfway through the year at that point where he started to really look like this is the guy, but he's finally really come into form, and I hope we continue to see that this upcoming year. I'm very optimistic that we will.
Yeah, a lot of people call him a Varus merchant or a Kaisa merchant. He's just good, man.
I
That's
think
what
he's
he
just
is.
good,
He's just
yeah.
he's just good.
And I think part of it as well is like, Kaisa, Varus, they have a lot of um, self. I don't want to use the word self peel. Like they have a lot of ability to initiate on their own. You get a pick with the
Mhm.
W on Kaisa, and you can just dash right in there and one shot somebody, or Varus can alt combo somebody down as well. There's a lot of that self utility there to see an angle for a play and just take it. And I think that's kind of fits his play style a lot, where he sees an opportunity for something and he says, uh, "We're going in. Let's do it." This is my moment, and I'm going to shine. And yeah, so very excited to see him play. Do we want to talk about support position at all, or do we want to wait until that announcement is made?
We can just like briefly talk about Zeus, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys don't know who he is, he's a three-time CBLOL champion. He was like the best support in Brazil, bar none. Um, he was a funny story how we actually got him. Kaboom got kaboomed. So Kaboom is a Brazilian org. If you get that reference from 2014, but they weren't chosen to be picked for the LTA South. So they ended up joining Tier 2, their NACL version, right? Equivalent. And they just didn't want to let go of Zeus. They were like, hey, we're any team. There were multiple teams were inquiring, and they were like, they set a very high buyout, and Shopify said, you know what, this guy's great. Like he's worth the buyout. And
Mm-hmm.
I know Cubby publicly tweeted, he was like, dude, no support is worth that much money. When we win a championship, I think he'll change his mind. But yeah,
We'll be excited to see a championship held up by that neon with that neon green flag and the black and gray. It'll be exciting to see the green and black
the funny
confetti.
thing is, yeah, the funny thing is, I actually mentioned this, but so Bvoy was the Ping Gaming AD carry in 2023, who played against Seus on Loud. He was the support. So they were kind of rivals, in
Mm-hmm.
2023 playing against each other in the finals. And those are like the two biggest organizations. If you play like soccer, like think Real Madrid and Barcelona, or like, you know, uh, any sort of rival organizations. And I was like, is there going to be a problem? I don't know. They might not like each other. And Revan was like, no, I think they're chill with each other.
That's good. That's good. I mean, there's been a year of time in between for those flames to settle down a little bit. So hopefully we're going to be going smoothly this upcoming year. Don't want a year of beef between AD carry and support, talking about who has more championships and whatnot. So, and hopefully they continue to just win championships together going forward.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
But yeah, let's so we've got this year coming up. How do you feel about these format changes? We're going from two splits to three. Uh, a lot of stuff is changing for how the matches are even played. We've got fearless draft, we've got single, best of ones, we've got best of threes, we've got it's all over the place. What's your take on all of this?
So positives, no more break. There's not going to be a 3 week break in split one at least, right? We
Mm-hmm.
won't have to deal with that. We get to play against Brazilian teams. That's going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
If we play against Pain or Loud, it is going to be phenomenal. Dude, the crowd is going to go wild, especially since we're going to be in Sao Paulo. Like, it is
Mm-hmm.
going to be awesome. So those are some positives. Negatives, we don't necessarily get to see all the matchups. I kind of like the lock-in style, like Fearless. Just I'm a big fan of the split one. Split two, I don't like it. We can get to that, after we get your thoughts on split one. I
Mm-hmm.
just think split one, hey, it's 5 weeks. It's literally 9 days of games. You have like 2-2-1, and then 2-2-1, or just 2-2, yeah. So you have like 9 days of games, and over 5 weeks, it's relatively quick, smooth. I want to make sure that they're going to do everything, like to make sure that the production that we have, pros and all that stuff going on, as long as they make sure that all that stuff is there. I know there's going to be like one weekend where we're in the closet again, but besides that, looks good to me. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Split one I don't like, and I can get into why.
How come?
I don't like split one for the sake that, and people, it looks cool from the outset. Like we get this rapid split where everything just goes straight into playoffs, and we get to see and gauge where the teams are right away, and then based off of that, choose a couple teams to send to Sao Paulo for a international kind of grudge match with LTA South. And my issue with this, we saw this in in EU as well with the LEC, where that first winter split felt so short to them that a lot of fans kind of checked out. And a lot of people said
Mm.
it was so short, it almost felt meaningless. That and even the players would kind of talk about it. They said, I've got the LEC trophy here for 2 weeks of games. When they're used to playing, 3 months of, going through meta changes and adaptations, and it to me, when I look at it in theory, it's like this would be a cool idea, but when I think about it, it's like it's gonna feel like it has no weight to it. There's not enough time for storylines to develop for that split. There's not enough time for for it to be memorable. Maybe there's a game that stands out. Like maybe you have a Danny and Tom Kench a Baron pentakill moment. Maybe you get one of those, and a game becomes memorable. But to me, it feels like the split is way too short for there to be any narratives, for there to be any storyline. It's just immediately game, playoff, winner, go to Sao Paulo, goodbye. And that's my worry for it. I feel like it's going to be very difficult to feel any connection to the split, any connection to the players, because it's so hard set on. And on top of that, hard to find an identity for the teams because it's fearless, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually think you hit the nail on the head. It's supposed to be like a lock-in sort of tournament. It's supposed to be this like almost like a show match because there's like
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
gimmick with like Fearless, and I think what's supposed to be memorable is that you're just getting some show matches between North and South Conference. I think if you look at it that way, it's not. I completely agree with you. The title is like very muddy. It's not worth the same title as the other two titles in split one
Yes.
and
Yes.
split two and split three. But in terms of like a lock-in tournament, kind of like Team Liquid could be like, "Hey, we won lock-in." Like no one's gonna
Yeah.
care,
It's like
but
who
yeah,
cares? It's like
at least we
no.
beat Brazil.
Yeah. No teams really, at least in my perspective in Europe, the teams don't really flaunt winning winter split. Because it's over so quickly. They care more about spring and especially about summer. That's what really matters. And I can get into how I think we could fix this format later when we get to the end, because I think there's one simple thing we could tweak to make the whole format work so much better. But that's for the end of this. So I
Mhm.
think it'll be fun to see kind of playoffs culminate in a show match thing. But my concerns, like you said, it feels less competitive and it feels more show matchy. It feels like it should almost not count towards anything and be something more like the old All Stars, where you just get to see people play against each other, and it's a bit more for fun. I think that would make a bit more sense considering how short the format is.
I think the problem with that is that teams aren't actually if it's more for fun, teams aren't going to practice seriously, and then
Mhm.
they're going to be like months behind, like a month and a half behind all the other regions. So they have to make it a little bit serious,
Yeah.
especially since the winner will go and to South to Seoul in Korea
Mhm.
and play a tournament. So I think they're trying to hit a balance where it's like, hey, you get to play against North and you get to play against Brazilian teams,
Mhm.
and that is going to cause North American fans to watch and Brazilian fans. And like, dude, if Brazil beats us and
Ooh.
they get to go to Korea, trust me, it will be the most memorable event of the entire year. Forget Worlds. Like they will not stop talking about it. So I can see it.
The LS stream where his boy Trimby beats NA and goes to work, goes to MSI. It's MSI, right? Or is it the?
Hell no.
Yeah,
Hell
that
no.
LS stream, that VOD on YouTube is gonna have so many views. But
Oh God, man.
yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I'm I'm cautiously neutral on Winter Split or Split One, so I I'm not optimistic about it, but I'm not going to be a hater just yet because we'll have to see. Because maybe now, especially because for Europe, the Winter Split literally meant nothing. Like you win the Winter Split and just okay, now you go on to Spring Split, and it has no Worlds implication. It has very little value towards you at all. Maybe with this one, where this one gets you that into that tournament in Korea, maybe
Mhm.
it means a lot more and it has more weight to it, and maybe that'll help with the narratives as well as because they can build it into that tournament. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on how they do it. I agree
Mm-hmm.
with you. It's like hit or miss.
Comes down
I'm
to production.
optimistic that it'll hit, but what's up?
I think it comes down to production, how they pitch it.
Yeah.
But okay, Split 2 thoughts.
If I say anything, I will be in trouble. No, I
Okay.
hate it, man. Why are we back to best of one? Just get this over with.
Mhm.
The excuse that was given just makes it so much worse. If you didn't hear what Mark Z said, he was like, "Oh, teams," and then teams like 3 or 4 teams publicly went and said, "Hey, we never said any of that. Like
Mhm.
we actually are against this." So I don't know if he's just making up excuse or whatnot, or if someone's lying. But the idea is like, oh, teams when they only get to play one time a week, then you as a fan only get to see them one time a week and they don't get to connect with you. So they want to be seen double the amount, twice a week, so that they can have some level of connection, especially since in Split 1 and Split 3, you could get eliminated really quickly. So they wanted at least Split 2 to be seen more often.
Mhm.
And my argument to that is like, just make content. You don't have to play. Just if that was really an argument, then the teams would be making if the teams were making content every single day, like 6 or 7 pieces of content across YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, all these different platforms every single day, and then they're complaining, hey, we want 2 days a week instead of one, I would completely agree with you. But the fact that Cloud9, Shopify, FlyQuest all publicly went and said, hey, no, we actually want best of threes, not best of ones, and we
Mhm.
publicly disagree with this, publicly disagree with the commissioner,
Yeah.
that just tells me that is some BS excuse,
I
man.
think the number, if my memory may be serving me incorrectly, but I think the number went up to like 5 or 6 teams that said no.
Which is the majority of the teams.
Exactly.
So you're listening to 1 or 2
75.
teams.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 teams said we don't want to. We want to do it this way instead. And Mark C, bless your heart, but you were wrong on this one. So, yeah, I think it's frustrating as well because you see this a lot in sports in general. What makes a sport like chess, for example, so great, even though it's such a simple in concept, is that it has not changed in format.
Well,
I guess you could say.
yeah.
And
they have been changing the formats, to be honest.
well, maybe they come up with a few other things, but like they'll make a few other rules for like rapid, like blitz chess and stuff like that. But like, hey, you go and you watch the chess game, and you know what you're getting into. You know there's going to be like the brackets kind of stay the same. Same with most sports. NASCAR, like the American racing team, they completely changed all their formats, and their viewership really tanked because people couldn't keep up with the constant format changes. And there's multiple. I don't even know. There's like multiple different like in each race. There's multiple segments, and you can win different segments, and those all mean different things now. And like there isn't just a race anymore. They do like 3 races. They do like 3 races
I didn't know
in
that.
one race, and a lot of people say, why can't we just like it's it's the Daytona 500. Why is it broken up into 5 different sections? And some of them are driven individually, some of them are driven in little packs, in little individual groups, and you can win your individual group in that individual segment. And people have been very frustrated by this, and especially because they've been changing it year after year after year, making adaptations again and again and again. When in reality, what people want is to watch League of Legends. They want to just watch people race. And I think, to me, a lot of fans have been tuning out of North America because every single split something changes. That is a good thing for the game itself. It keeps the game feeling fresh. It keeps the meta rotating. You keep adding new characters. You change items to keep the game feeling fresh. It's a very good thing from a game developer perspective. I would know this. I am one. But from a production side of things, you lose so many people when you can't have a consistent format. You can't have a regular schedule. You lose people because they don't want to keep on trying to figure out, okay, well, when are games this week? Oh, we have a 3-week break now. What's that for? That didn't used to happen. Why are we having stage games? And now, I'm hearing, let's say you're living in LA. Why can't I go to the LCS this week? Oh, they're playing in the closet. Why is that? And now this week there's 3 splits instead of 2. Where's my road show for finals? Now there's only 1 of them. What's up with that? And it's just the constant change from the production side and just how things are pitched. I think it's just a huge mistake. And I really do think they'd be better off if they tried to get more consistent with it again and go back to a regular thing and just not change it. Keep all the 1, 2, or 3 splits, however they do it, keep them identical with each other. And just to make it easier for the viewer. You don't need each split to have a different format, And that's my little rant on formats and stuff. But I really just dislike how each split has its own vibe, and they pitch it as, oh, it keeps each split feeling different. It's like, well, yes, but no. Do people really want that, though? I don't know.
I do. I actually disagree with you there.
Okay,
I agree
fair.
that every single year changing stuff like that's just a little too much. Even myself, when I'm trying to remember, okay, the 2019 split, that was the one, oh no, that was 2017 where they had the joint records where someone was 32-15, but then the split right before was best of 3, but then the split after was best of 1. Yeah,
Yep,
especially for
exactly.
history's sake, it gets hard. But I do like the fact that each split is different because it means different things. I think split 1 is clearly the least meaningful, more like this is a showcase to make sure our rosters work. And if they don't, maybe we make some fixes, stuff like that. It's supposed to be quick. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to get people engaged. Split 2 is and 3 are the ones that are sort of like the spring and summer. So really, I don't think people are going to be counting the first title very much as before. I do like having different formats. What I don't like is the specific format that they picked with the best of ones, like a double round robin. I think LEC did have a problem where every split just felt the same to me. Even though there were some slight differences, but it really did feel like every split was the same. Every split was meaningless. And I didn't know if I felt like split 3 for LEC was the one that actually mattered, and then the final split, like the season finals, didn't actually matter, but then that was the one that was played on the stadium. That was a little confusing. I think clearly Riot is saying, hey, look, the third split is the one that's important. That's the one we have the roadshow for. The second split, that one's more important than the first split, but it's still not as important, That's the one that qualifies you to MSI. Only one team goes. You don't even have play between North and South Brazil, Americas. So I actually find it quite refreshing. I like the idea of having different formats. I actually was arguing that you should give them different themes. So if split 1 is Noxus themed, the name of split 1 should have been Noxus split, and then split 2 Ionia split 3. But then I think what Mark Z said was we didn't want to make it too complicated. I was just come on, it's just one extra step. Yeah. But yeah, I can see both angles of just give me something consistent that I can watch. LCK, LPL have been the same for so long, although LPL has been changing recently. But LCK has just been the same thing over and over. I like it. People like it. Just give us the race. Come on.
I hear you. I guess we'll have to see. Maybe I think I am also just as a person a bit resistant to change a little bit, and so. Especially as things change again and again and again every single year, it just becomes more and more frustrating. Especially when, like what you said, they'll promise one thing, like they'll come out and say our analytics say that people actually would rather watch the games on Monday and Tuesday, when that was completely a lie. They were actually just trying to make space for Valorant, and it's like that constant promising that we're doing this for your own good, or the teams actually want one game, 2 games a weekend, which want 2 best of ones, and it's like, no, they didn't. They came out and said so. And hearing that stuff over and over and over again really frustrates me as a person, and it makes me very concerned for the longevity of the sport, especially as if you're in a sport and you really want to make your team work, and then the organization behind the sport comes out and makes some changes and said that you vouched for them when you felt the opposite way. How many of those instances can you take before you say enough of this and move on to another venture?
How many of the original franchise teams are still in the LTA?
1.
2.
Well, I guess
Cloud9 and Team
Dig.
Liquid.
Yeah, it's
Well, no, I'm not counting
Team
Dig.
Liquid. Okay, I guess Cloud9 and Team
Yeah,
Liquid. You're right.
Team
You're
Liquid,
right.
Cloud9.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. So
Well, 100. I don't count 100 Thieves because they're technically not in. Like in my mind, they're already out. So, but yeah, it's 2. Was FlyQuest in there? Wait, FlyQuest may have been there too.
from the original franchising, yes, FlyQuest.
Oh,
did get
okay.
in.
So yeah. So 3.
Mhm.
Still, the idea of like how many teams have we had? We had Echo Fox, we had Clutch left, we have NRG, CLG, TSM. Like the number of teams just within the last like
Mhm.
2 years that have left.
Yeah.
Immortals is just
Mhm.
it's yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Optic left, yeah.
Optic as well. Yep. And a lot of them just disappearing without saying a word on social media or anything. So,
Yeah.
which has been interesting to watch, but
Ah.
fun one. But yeah, fun for me for sure. Yeah, so we'll have to see. As I've given it more time, I'm a little bit more willing to say this could work, but I'm still very much kind of in the mindset of, at the moment, I think consistency would be better, especially in as we're kind of in that dip of esports winter. I think consistency is what's really going to hold your fan base together, and maybe that means this is a format that works and you stick with it for years to come, and that's fine as long as we get some consistency. Because constantly promising this is what's going to make LTA North the premier product for League of Legends game watching, we have the best caster in Captain Flowers. I would say he is the best caster and across all of League of Legends esports, potentially across all of esports. He's just fantastic at play-by-play, amazing at story development, and he's just got that charisma about him, and just having the right thing to say in those clutch moments. And I think it becomes a lot more difficult for their talent to shine when they don't get that consistency to get comfortable in a routine with, when it changes every single year and it just gets more difficult for them. Allow your production to shine, allow your players to shine, allow your fans to relate and get some consistency so they know when to show up, get a consistent schedule. Whatever it is, make sure it's consistent and it can last year by year by year. And I think they'll be fine.
The last thing I will say about the format is that with Split 2, I think that Shopify won't do as good because I feel like our players are better best of 3 players. I think best of 1 usually favors, like think about last year, best of 1 favored 100 Thieves, right? They finished second in the regular season, whereas the split after, they were like they could have been knocked out by us if we beat them. So it was like, it was quite dicey. So I do think that with best of 3s, it probably will favor us. And so the split 2 might not be the greatest. Like we could lose fringe games here and there, which is it's bound to happen. But I do think like if it was best of 3s, we'd probably have a better record. Think of Team Liquid; they went undefeated, right? But in reality, they lost a bunch of game 1s. Like they wouldn't have been undefeated if it wasn't best of 3s.
True. This is true. And they would have been a game 5 if it weren't for that minion. Anyway, so all right. Do you want to keep talking about format? Anything else you want to add for this upcoming year, or should we move on to what we think the team needs to do? I guess keys to first split of success.
Yeah, no,
for
we can
Shopify.
move on. I think split three, not even Riot knows how that's going to work, so we can talk
Yeah,
about that one
exactly.
later.
There, and we've seen in the Discord already that at least in the still the LCS Discord for now. Get on it, Rody. It's there. People have been putting in feedback for adaptations to Split 3, and I've seen people on the right side saying, "Oh, this is interesting. We'll take a look at this," and they may be doing some adaptations to make it better because even right now they've posted their graphics and people still don't know what's going on for it. So
Yeah,
and that's
neither do
another
they.
and that's another thing of what I mean of just having a schedule that makes sense and that people can understand. Like I had to go through and study it and make some really complicated graphics to try to explain what was going on, and even then, uh, I was wrong. So I didn't even know what was going on. But it's yeah, we'll have to see what they come up with for Split 3, and I'm hoping they simplify it a little bit or make at least make it a bit more readable.
Agreed.
So let's talk about what do we think this Shopify team needs to do to be successful. And I guess we can start with Split 1, and then we can go through the entire year.
I think what they need is to figure out how they want to play the game. I think Contracts is the natural leader of this team. He's a shot caller. He's going to be the leader. Everyone's going to give information, but at the end of the day, he's going to be one making decisions. Just to figure out how to play on the same page as Contracts. And I think Fudge is a very, very smart player when it comes to his TPing and flanking and his positioning in team fights and whatnot. I think he's very, very smart about all that stuff. I think he does a great job at peeling for his AD carry and providing space. I think B-Boy will have a very pleasant time playing AD carry, and I think Contracts is also someone who can make space for the carries. I think they just have to find what specific pieces need to fit in a puzzle. They just have to line them up because I think they're relatively close. For Split 1, I actually, as long as we make top 4, I have high hopes for us because top 4 are the ones that go to Brazil, and like you kind of are already assuming you're either going to play FlyQuest or Team Liquid in your group, so you're already like guaranteed a loss, right? So then the other person on your team in your group might be a Cloud9 or 100 Thieves or a Dignit. Like, can we beat 2 of those teams? Ideally, we should be able to beat a Cloud9 or 100 Thieves if we want to prove that we deserve to go there. So
yes.
that's what I'm hoping, especially Cloud9. If we beat Cloud9, I am buying a Cloud9 jersey. I'm spray painting SR on there, and I'm wearing it for like the week's content.
Good man, good man. I think for Split 1, honestly, what I would really just want to see is because playoffs is top 6 for that split, the team who gets to go to Brazil, correct?
No, it's a double group.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It's like, think of Worlds Plans.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it is. It's Worlds
Yes.
Plans.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Never mind. Yeah, I agree. I think finishing top 4 would be like the goal. I would be happy with the top 6, honestly, for Split 1, because that would mean we would have qualified for playoffs in a normal system, which for our past 2 splits, we did not. We finished 7th both times, and being able to break into that barrier, saying, okay, we can now look at ourselves as a playoff team. And now let's build up to a top 4 team in spring split, and then maybe build it up into a world's team for summer split. I think that's an acceptable trajectory. Is it optimal? No. I think being able to bring B-Boy and Seos back to Brazil would be a fantastic thing. I think that'd be awesome to go back and get that rivalry going, get a lot of eyes on our roster, because the Brazilian fan base would love to see those 2 players again, I'm sure. And we get a lot of people cheering on our side as well, especially because we'll probably be playing against some teams down there that a lot of people don't like, because that's how rivalries work, right? And so they'll say, hey, I remember B-Boy, I'm going to cheer him on so that he beats this team I don't like, or he beats my LTA South team's rival. And so being able to make a top 4 would be awesome. And then going from there, I think consistently making playoffs and at least winning 1 or 2 best of 3s for as we move forward, and hopefully qualifying for Worlds would be the optimal thing. I think it's pretty likely that we do well in first split. We have that a lot of the top teams, I guess, outside of the Team Liquid and FlyQuest, who have stayed identical. Cloud9 switched up a lot. They got rid of Berserker. They got rid of Dojo Pyun. There's not going to be a lot of synergy right away for that team. I think similarly for a lot of other rosters as well, just a lot of shuffling around. Same with Shopify, of course. But what we have is we took a jungle mid from a team and just moved them straight over. And I think that's going to give us a big advantage in just being on the same page with each other, especially with that Fear X bootcamp that's going on, where we're going to be able to bootcamp with a few other teams that are there as well, and bootcamp and scrim probably against some LCK teams, which should give us a big advantage over some other LTA North teams.
I think that's fair. I wouldn't be surprised if we finish 5th. I think 100 Thieves have a lot more synergy than our players do. So I wouldn't be surprised if 100 Thieves like do really good in split 1 and then not as well in splits 2 and 3 as teams get more time, more than 3 weeks. Because literally this is decided in the first 3 weeks, right? Who gets to go. So I think in that sense, it wouldn't be a disaster if we don't make it to Brazil. I would just be very sad, like as a fan. But it wouldn't be like, oh, blow up this roster. It'd be like, look, guys, it was 3 weeks. Come on. That's not something you can. It's not a good enough sample size.
Yeah, that's fair. So
wait, if we were 6th, I would be sad, because if we're 6th, that means either Dignitas, DSG, or Lion Gaming beat us. I would be sad if one of those 3 things happened.
True. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, we better finish 5th, 5th or higher, because I definitely think we're better than those teams. I got a lot of love for DSG because they have Castle, but as a IMT fan from last year, he was my favorite player, and I'm excited to watch him. So I'll be cheering on for him in those matches outside of the Shopify games where we play against each other. But I do think we are better than those 3 teams. And as the split progresses, I think we can easily be better than 100 Thieves and Cloud9 as well. So I do think we can solidify ourselves as the 3rd best team in LTA as the split progresses, if we play according to our strengths and we play like we should. I think like medium, upper, like if you hit median for all the teams, we're number 3. If we hit the peaks of all the teams, we're maybe in that 1-2, like arguing a lot closer for that 1-2 slot with FlyQuest and Team Liquid.
I just hope that we get. I know this is worse for our winning chances, but I really hope we get Cloud9 in our group so that we can.
Yes.
Because I mean, come on, Fudge. Fudge wants to be Cloud9. Like, come on,
yes.
the amount of drive that he has.
I do think if we get matched against Cloud9, especially if we get matched against them week 1, we've been scrimming against them a lot at the Fear X bootcamp, I'd assume, and then just for that grudge of Fudge coming back on to play off against this this God of Toes or whatever that they signed instead for the top lane, and get to just stomp all over him and say this. So you traded me, one of the greatest desserts on the planet, for a foot fetish. All right, let's.
Oh my God!
To be able to have that banter, because he's I'm sure he's got some grudge in there. I'm sure he does. And as well as Palafox and Contracts and Palafox are both also I believe ex Cloud9 players. And
Contracts was on their tier 1 team. Palafox was tier 2, yeah.
Yep. And they beat Team Liquid in the finals, wasn't it?
No, NRG
it was Cloud9.
Cloud9?
Yes. So
Revan is ex Cloud9 too.
Yes, they've done it before, and so I think it'd be such a cool throwback to that Energy C9 match, where now the Fudge, the Contracts, the Palafox are now come together on one team to take down Cloud9 and keep them potentially from going to the big international show match in Sao Paulo, which would be a really cool thing. I think we've got the narrative on our side, and especially if it was a week 1, day 1 match, Shopify Cloud9, and we take a win. That would set us up prime for a triple.
And then we
result.
play against Team Liquid and we beat them too, just because Palafox's AP is dead.
The peak narrative is Palafox picks Nico mid, and we win a team fight.
The trauma.
And then hear me out. They get the Nexus really low, and the team walks away, and Palafox turns into a minion for the disrespect to hit the last hit.
I think Riot might ban him. That might be illegal. Like in
That
California, that might just be like
that
rated
might
R or something.
that might be a that might be yeah, might be some grounds for, there's gonna be
Traumatizing, yeah, behavior, yeah.
there's gonna be some what's the word I'm looking for here? Where like the law has to step in and say you can't, like, you got to stay away from each other.
Oh, restraining order.
There's gonna be some restraining orders after that game if Palafox falls that off. But there we go. But yeah, I really think I agree. I think Cloud9 would be a great, I guess, litmus test for us to see, because Cloud9 is good, but they've made some downgrades. And so I think, we're moving up and they're moving down. It's a good test to see how far we moved up and how far they fell down. So I think a week one, or maybe either that or a deciding week 3 match between us two would be a great for narrative, great for seeing where and it'd be great for Cloud9 as well to see where they're at and split one right away. So I think it's wins all around, and I hope the script writers are watching this so they know to schedule a Cloud9 and Shopify match in this upcoming winter split.
I mean, we got 3 people watching, so I hope one of them is the scriptwriter.
Absolutely, scriptwriter. I know you're watching. Get on it. So, anything else that we wanna add here? What do you think? Because we kind of talked about it a little bit for this keys to the success, and what I guess would make the fans happy. What would make you happy as a fan for this upcoming year?
Content, content, content. I don't, dude. Like I said, even if we finish 5th, I'm okay with it. It's a very,
Mhm.
very short split. It's like more experimental. It's completely new. I'm not married to the idea of like, if we don't win this split, we are failures. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, man. Just give me some really dope content. Like, I
Mhm.
want teasers for every single game. Like, come on, we're playing 3 best of 3s before
Mhm.
going to Brazil. You can definitely come up with 3 videos to tease the events. I want post game, like right after the game. I want you to stick the camera in front of someone's face and fudge, especially if he beats a Cloud9, and be like, "How you feeling after that?" And be like, screw Cloud9.
Mhm.
I want you to give me content. I want to feel like I'm a rebel. I want to feel like I'm
Mm.
watching the boys play.
Mhm.
Put fudge on a longboard or a skateboard. Like, give me some good stuff. That's what I want. That's what I would be happy with.
In other words, retro cook. Right?
There
So
we go. That's a
for
TLDR. Very summarized.
for those who don't know, retro is the lead of content over at Shopify. So he's gonna be the guy who's gonna be providing. He's lead of content, correct?
I
I
probably,
believe
yeah, I
so.
think so.
I believe so. Yeah, the direct content director for the esports over there. So excited to see what he comes up with. I know I've been talking with him a little bit. And he said he's got a lot of cool ideas coming in the future that he didn't divulge, but
Oh man.
excited to see what he comes up with. And I really do hope we get some good content, some good hype up. I remember early days of 100 Thieves. They were very good at kind of branding and getting people excited, and that seemed to have fallen off. They don't really get, the league team doesn't really get mentioned anymore in much of their socials. But hearing them, I hope we get Shopify to bring some of that energy of, a little bit of disrespect, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of delusion, and just overall a great content set to get us excited for the players and for the games every single week.
Yeah, I would very much appreciate it if before we play any team, there's just like this little teaser video, and it's just like contracts, like the nicest guy in the world, like with his tongue out and just spray painting all over their logo or
There
something
you
crazy.
go.
I just,
Yep.
yeah, just give us some personality,
Hmm.
please.
That's one of the big things I think teams have missed out on. We used to have like just naturals on camera. We had Double Lift. You had Meteos, you had Sneaky, you had I'm a Cutie Pie, you had Voy Boy, you had Dyrus, you had all these just very outspoken personalities. And these days, I think a large part of it is because back then, TSM had that Bay Life attitude, where
Hmm.
they were very blunt with it. And they were very okay with, dropping F-bombs on their merch and stuff like that. And nowadays the teams really are, they're trying to get sponsorships, they're trying to get partnerships, and they've been trying to push a lot more of a clean and put together image, which I don't think really works for esports. I think it's good that players get to show some personality, get to show some trash talk. Um, get to show some disrespect towards each other, all in good fun, of course. But and I think it's a very good thing when a league has some villains in it. And I really hope that we get to see some villains this upcoming this upcoming year. Maybe Palafox goes into his villain era. I don't know. Maybe it's contracts, but I know
I want
Fudge.
contracts to be the rebel boy. Yeah.
I know Fudge can do it. I've heard him on his old vlogs that he would do with Revenge, when Revenge would do the live camera behind each game, and he'd be talking with Fudge, and they'd be trash talking back and forth a little bit. But I just hope that Shopify lets the players show some personality. That's what I would really love to see from their content.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
All
I think we
right.
can do it. I don't know that we'll do it the first split, but I hope that eventually, like, the players will open up to that kind of stuff. Because I'm hoping at least Seiyus will be down to do that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hope so. Yeah, especially like a lot of I guess ex LCS, now LTA North fans. We know the name, but we don't know much about him. And so, especially if he plays like the Brazilian Core JJ, like he's been hyped up to be, a lot of people are going to say, "Who is this guy?" And if he just hides behind a screen and we never hear anything from him, I don't think that's the correct approach to take whatsoever. I think it'd be great to get him on camera, get B-Voy on cam, especially Palafox and Contracts. I've spoken with them at the LCS at like the after games, and they're comedians. They're really funny, and just great to banter with. And I hope we get to see a lot of that, and just feel like we're a little bit a part of like seeing behind the scenes and getting to know the players.
Completely agreed. We're on the same page there with what fans want to see.
There we go.
I think we can speak for everybody. Yeah.
We found something to agree on. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this year, even though we have some gripes with some format stuff. A little. I think this year is going to be great. I think this is a big step up year for Shopify, as we're going to see them really rise to the occasion a lot more. Really move up from that 7th slot. I think we step up into that mid upper playoffs, and I think we're poised quite well with this roster to contest for a Worlds position.
Ooh, Worlds is going to be hard. It's only top 2. Like, only 2 North American teams are going to be able to. This is going to sound blasphemous, but I'm much more interested in Shopify winning Split 2 and making it to MSI than making it to Worlds, because MSI is in Canada. So 1, you're in North America. 2, Shopify is a Canadian org. 3, we have a Canadian content creator signed named Simu Liu, who may or may not show up if MSI is in Canada. Like, if Shopify make it to Canada, we have the ability to just cause waves of really cool content and just like appreciation for the team. Even if we pull a FlyQuest and just like completely lose our minds in MSI, I think Shopify making it to MSI for their brand would be more beneficial than them making it to Worlds.
If we make it
crazy to say, I know, but
if we make it to MSI and we pull off what Team Liquid did and we get some Shang-Chi jerseys, that would go crazy. That with him there, like leading the team out, that would be the coolest thing. You know, like imagine
in outfit, yeah.
In the entire, imagine like if when Team Liquid had their Captain America jerseys, if they had Chris
Captain
Evans
America
in his uniform lead the team out. You know how that, we could do that. We could actually do that.
Bro, you are cooking, man. Retro needs to watch this episode.
If we reach some level of like playoff finals or something like that, we need to make something like this happen. A finals like Shang-Chi jersey with Simu Liu to lead the team out in the Ten Rings full uniform would go crazy.
Ooh.
That's how you make a mark.
I know, right? People will be like, "Oh, Shopify just joined the league. We didn't realize they joined last year." Yeah, it'd be like our first real impression on people.
So that's what would make this fan happy. But
I think it would make everybody happy.
I think everyone in league, everyone across the world and the league ecosphere would be happy if we got that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts here for today as we're closing in on 1 hour for this podcast, and I want to keep it to about an hour length?
No, I'm excited for Shopify. I'm hoping that, I know we still have like almost a month and a half before we play games. It's boring to wait so long, but
Hmm.
Yeah, I at least on my end, I plan on making some cool documentaries for the 4 players that are joining Shopify.
Hmm.
Some maybe a little bit more nicer than others. Like contracts documentary might be a lot kinder contracts than what I'm about to do for Palafox, but hey, it's a fan docu. Okay, I'll just say
Hmm.
that much. But yeah, I'm excited for this podcast and to see the audience grow and for people to just talk about Shopify. I think hopefully they announce some cool stuff. I've been hearing murmurs of like, hey, Shopify are cooking, but I don't know what's going on. So I'm like just waiting. Like, come on, please let me know what's going on.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard anything, but
I've
yeah.
heard the same thing. I've seen a lot of the green froggy chair, and which seems to be a symbol for something. I haven't figured it out yet, but they keep saying we're cooking. Just wait, and so that's what we've been doing. We've been waiting, and it's almost time, but we're still waiting. So
You have any shout outs on your end? Anything for people to look out for?
I'm gonna be doing regular content. Gonna be doing my player like every week, doing like a players tier list. I'm gonna be making some comedy type content of something like if the season was scripted, where we have like a fake script writer come in and talk about the games as if they were scripted in kind of a comedic fashion, and a few other content like weekly content pieces I will be doing as well. Of course, the podcast here, the Rebel Room podcast with Cloud, we may bring on some content, some guests as well, maybe some players, which would be really cool to talk about the matches and just to kind of get more of a behind the look scene view at Shopify Rebellion. And but that's about it for me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that your skits. You told me some ideas before, and I think they're quite funny.
I'm excited to do them. So it better be absolute cinema. I'll do my best. But what about you? Anything you want to shout out?
You just my channel. I like I said, I'm gonna have a few documentaries on the players that joined coming out in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, that's mainly what I'm doing. I also have another podcast, but it's like LTA called the LTA report on my channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's more general about the LTA, not just Shopify. This is where you wear the Shopify jersey. And you're just like,
Yes.
I'm a Shopify fan, so yeah, this is definitely going to be one of my favorite pieces of content to do every week.
Excited to keep this one going all through the year and keep repping the green and gold. Or not the green and gold, the green and gray. That's the wrong G. Green and gray. Is it green and gray? Green and black? What are we?
I I I think it's black,
Because I know I've
but I
seen
am
black.
colorblind, so I can't tell.
Can I pull it up here? Let's see. Shopify Rebellion. If I pull up their logo, it is like a gray. It's like a dark
We
gray.
might be gray.
I guess the green and gray. But when I pull
The
up like
green and
their
gray.
on their YouTube thing, it's the green with the black logo. So it's hard to say what they are.
It could be, you know how like teams have different jerseys for
Mm-hmm.
like whether they're home or away. It could be like our away is like green and gray, and our home is green and black. I don't know, or maybe they're just not consistent. Like it could just be, yeah, they're close enough. Who knows?
All right, we'll just keep
Oh, it
rep.
could be based on which team. Because the league
That's
team
all.
might be green and black, but then the Valorant, because we have very successful game changers. They're like the T1
Yes, that's
of
true.
Valorant.
Mm-hmm.
They are green and gray, I think.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
Mm.
All right, the green and black it is, unless we get told otherwise. So,
Yeah,
all
pending
right,
Shopify approval.
pending Shopify approval. There we go. All right, let's. I will have Cloud's channel linked in the description below, so you can check out all of his stuff. I'm Sharpie. This is, of course, my friend Cloud, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, guys.